Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
So here's a Wizard's Tower for Castle Panic. Everything here comes with it except for the board and these towers. You do get the Wizard's Tower with it. So we'll look at it. I just kind of want to show you what some of this stuff looks like all pulled out. The box is like this. You can totally throw this away. I might end up throwing mine away because it all fits in the base game pretty good. You're eventually going to get a bag. It has a little castle panel thing on. Super cute. So you can put your guys in here. My hand doesn't quite fit in it. I feel like I have an average hand. I don't know. You're going to get a number of these mega bosses that will come out. So you have these boss guys and these different shapes. And they're utilized in the bag by these more generic tokens. So you can't tell what's coming out. So those are pretty neat. You're going to get a bunch of imps that will come out. These guys don't go in the bag. They kind of come out through card play or tile draws or whatever, but there's a lot of them. You're going to get a wizard's token, which is a little bit nicer than the stuff that came in. You can see it's big, so where the wizard will live, and he will take up one of the castle spots. You also get a bunch of fire tokens that can fit right on the walls or the tower, and they fit really nicely on top of there. They can also end up on the bad guy tiles very easily. They clip onto everything really, really nicely. And you can have a bunch of those that will be on there. And then you can have a bunch of new tiles and bad guys. Each one of these have powers, like the blue ones are flyers, so you can only hit them certain ways. You have climbing trolls that go over walls. And look at all these individually, but just know that you have a whole bunch of these. And you will take a whole bunch out of the game to replace those. You're going to get some new Castle Panic cards that are just in. All these are different little powers that can be utilized. We'll take a look at these in a few minutes. You will get a new player aid that will kind of tell you what all the bosses do and the new guys as they come out. It's very helpful. And then you'll get a wizard card deck. About the same quality what you had before, but these will give you giant powers that you can have. You have all these new monsters coming out. You need something to help the good guys here. So this is what all the new stuff is going to be. We're going to take a look at it a little bit more in detail, and I kind of show you how everything works. So the first thing we'll look at are the imps. These do not go in the bag. They're just kind of set aside, and some tiles or cards will put these into play, and they'll come out. They only have one hit point on them, and there's a lot. So when these die, they don't go in your victory point pile. They go back into their imp pile in case you need them later. In addition, you're going to have a wizard tower that will be on the board. This is the main mechanic that the expansion is named after. It will take the place of one of the towers. So you have one tower that will be set aside. You can randomize that or just choose wherever you want to play it. If the wizard tower is ever taken out, you're still in the game. You just will not be able to draw from the wizard card deck anymore. Any wizard cards in your hand are still playable. You just won't be able to get any new ones while the wizard tower is out. So you might want to protect it because these cards are very, very powerful. Let's take a look at some of them. Azrael's Fist. Damage one monster anywhere on the board for 1 point. This includes the forest and in the castle. Then you're going to have a teleport. Move any monster in play to another space or any fortified token in play to another wall. You can damage anybody in the red. It includes the castle and the forest. You're going to have one for each of the colors. All players draw up to a full hand from the castle deck. That can be very powerful in the right moment. Destroy a tower, so you're getting rid of one of your victory points, one of your ways to win, one of your protections, and you slay all monsters in that area. So if you were to get rid of this tower, I would destroy everything over here. So that can be super, super powerful. Let's take a look at a couple more. Rain. Damage all monsters in the same arc, but not in the forest. So I can see this arc right here and get rid of 1 point of damage to everybody there. So these can be really, really powerful. Now, how do you get these? Now, the rules of the game are going to be just about the same, but when you discard a card, you can still take a card from the castle deck if you want, or you can draw a wizard card. I found this most of the time getting these wizard cards. They're super fun and super powerful. And that's how you get those in your hand. So when you discard a card, you can draw from either deck. So let's talk a little bit about the mega bosses that you can have in the game. In the draw pile, they're going to be represented by these. And you're only going to have 3 in each game. So you're going to randomly choose 3 and put them in the bag. And for example, when the Chamara is drawn, you will bring the Chamara, find him in the stack, and bring him out on the board. So each of these bosses are going to do something a little bit different. And I'm going to go through each one with you and kind of explain and give you an example of what they do. The first one you're going to see is the Basilisk. He's like a snake, Komodo dragon type thing. And what he's going to do is when he comes out, everybody's going to immediately discard down to 2 cards. Then, while he's in play, you will not be able to discard and draw any cards. That will be completely skipped. and it will take 5 hits in order to kill him. That may seem a lot for Castle Panic, but with the new wizard cards and some of the new castle cards I'm going to show you, you can do great amount of damage. So there's a lot of cards that just kill everything in an arc. So that's a good way to get rid of some of these guys. So down to 2 cards, immediately all players, and then you can no longer discard and draw as long as he's in the game. You have to kill him first. Here is Chamara. Chamara is a fire breather. You can see right there where the fire comes out. So when Chamara comes out, it will catch on fire and he will blow fire down on whatever's below him. So you'll take one of these fire tokens and you'll place it right here on whatever's in front of it. Then, when it becomes the movement stage, you're going to move 1 counterclockwise and down, and then blow fire again. And I'll go over the fire rules later, but just kind of know that it's constantly going to move in this way, and then blow fire. So it won't blow fire the same space over and over again. And he does take up 5 damage. Here's a dragon, moves kind of like a Chamara that we just had. Also going to breathe fire that you can see here. So as soon as he comes out, he's going to blow fire at the obstacle in front of it. So in this case, we'll put one right here on this wall. But when he moves, he's going to roll this dice. And then you're going to have a handy dandy chart that's right here. So 6, he'll move 1 space counterclockwise and breathe fire. So here, no movement, breathes fire. Moves backwards, moves clockwise, moves forward. So he's going to move around the board, just kind of breathing fire and being this big offensive weapon. So you want to get rid of the dragon as quickly as possible, and it can also soak up 5 parts of damage. So the Hydra is also a fun little monster to fight, or boss. It is the 4-headed monster here. So every time you do damage to it, and it takes 4 damage to kill it, you will bring out 2 imps onto the board. So you could do, 4 points of damage could bring out as many as 8 imps. So the Hydra is going to bring out those imps and be a little bit of a pest or a thorn in your side. When the Necromancer comes out, you're going to take 2 monsters that you've already killed, and you're going to put them back in the bag. So these 2 would be ones that we've already killed. We'll go back in the bag, prolonging the game in addition to make it that much harder. Now, when you destroy him, you want to kill him before he gets to the structures. If the Necromancer is able to get to the structures, he will destroy it, and then for each point of damage left, you will put 1 monster from the discard pile back into the draw bag. The Warlock when he comes out, makes everybody discard 1 wizard card. And then when he's out, what you'll do is you'll roll this number. That will be the arc he goes to, and they will move 1 step forward. So if he was in the Archer, he would go to 2, but would be in the Knight. So that's kind of how he's going to move up. And wizard cards do not have any abilities against the Warlock. You're also going to have some new castle cards that will go in. These are all going to be powers. So stand together. 1 player of choice may immediately play 1 hit or a wizard card. Berserk, which I like a lot. Draw 1 card from the castle deck for every hit card you play during the remainder of this turn. Never Lose Hope allows you to discard cards, and however many you discard, you can draw. Normally you can only do 1 per round. That's pretty good. Reinforce, each player immediately draws a card of a choice in the castle or the wizard deck. You got this flaming sword that will put things on fire. Knockback, you do a point of damage, and you can knock them back. So let's talk about fire since it came up in this. So a structure will be eliminated when it gets 3 fires. In this case, this one already has 2. If it were to get to 3rd, it would be done. Now monsters can also get flames on them. So after they move, so if you had an orc here and he was on fire, he would move up and then take a point of damage. You're going to take 1 at the end of each movement phase for each fire that is there. So fire can work for you and against you, depending on whether it's on the monsters or on the walls. And then you're going to have any number of new tiles that will be put in. You're going to be taking a whole bunch of tiles out of the base game and adding these in. Here's a flaming boulder. So it works kind of like a boulder, except it's going to set something on fire. You're going to have these blue ones that are flying. So you can only hit them with archers. It's the only way they can be effective. So swordsmen and knights cannot affect these guys. You have climbing trolls, who when they get to the walls, they don't knock down the walls and get damaged. They actually climb over them, which is new. Here, this one's going to give you 1 imp per tower left in the game. The Goblin Calvary, they will move 2 spaces each turn instead of 1. So you have a whole bunch of things. And you have a few that kind of work like this, like the Cyclops. He can be killed with 1 hit in the archer space. He cannot be hurt at all in the swordsman space. And damage is normal on the knight space. So you really want to get him into the archer space and be able to hit him with 1 hit when he's there. So some of these can be very powerful, and that's why you want to move some people back and not others. Otherwise, the game plays exactly the same. This is the Wizard's Tower for Castle Panic. I do think that this makes the game quite a bit more difficult. You will have to take a moment and kind of refer to this. It will slow the game down just a bit until you get control over all of these. In the base game, you only had 4 special monsters. In this one, you're adding almost 10 extra tiles, different tiles, not to mention 3 mega bosses each turn. So it will slow the game down a little bit while you look at these and deal with them on the board. So also the weight of the game and how all these different things work will go up quite a bit. Takes us from a family game and maybe makes it more of a gamer family game. You need somebody who can read and knows the game pretty well to deal with all these special tiles that can come out. And when you have 6, 7, 10 of these on the board, you know you're going to really have to know what each one does, how they work, how they can be hit. Like I said with the Cyclops, it's a little confusing that certain spaces on the board, it's an instant hit, some it can't be damaged at all, some it's normal. So you need somebody at the table who can keep track of all that. The fire is going to add some more difficulty to the game, as there's something else that you have to track. Now you have to keep track of how much things are being hurt. I do like the addition of the Wizard's Tower. That's pretty easy just to add these wizard cards, and they are very, very powerful and very fun to play. So overall, I think this is a great addition to the series if you're ready to take that next step up. You want to get a little bit more in complexity, you want a little bit more in difficulty, this is something you can easily add to the game. But keep in mind, this is going to make it a little bit more of a gamer's game. It doesn't really change the flow of the game or how anything works per se, but it does make the complexity with all these extra pieces kind of moving around. I most definitely would not add this in right away. It makes the game harder. I feel like that. I feel like the wizard cards, not only does it make it more complex, it makes it harder to win. I think there's a lot more going on, different ways to kill things, and you have to plan things out a little bit better. But this is something I would add in after I played the base game. You play it a lot, you got the rules down, you know exactly how it works, you're enjoying it, but you want a little bit more complexity. If you don't want complexity and you don't want more difficulty, I would not add in the Wizard's Tower. But for me, as it says in the box, new threats, new powers, and an all-new Panic. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing games.